A chance for closure and accountability. Just some of the reaction coming today from Greymouth to the news that there will be a manned re-entry of the Pike River mine starting in February, 8 long years after the explosion that claimed the lives of 29 men. The aim of the $36 million operation? Well, to recover the remains of the victims and search for clues about the cause of the disaster. Conan Young filed this report from the West Coast.
Garth Elliott has been at the forefront of helping to look after the families of those who died in the mine, the people left behind to pick up the pieces and somehow carry on, often without their main breadwinner. Unions have set up a trust to help the children of the 29 with their education. The E2 organiser says re-entering the mine is a good start in helping the families to move on.
A lot of people talk about closure, but I don't think there's going to be closure for a lot of the families and a lot of people, in fact, for quite some time. And I don't think it's going to take just this to create the closure. But at the very least, it'll give them some understanding of what might have happened up there, if there are any remains up there, to sort of bring them home to the families.
Grey District Mayor Tony Cockshawn, who was a central figure in the response to the disaster, says after 8 years of bad news, today the families finally had something to be glad about.
Not just the families, coasters have been waiting for this day. We've had a lot of false starts, we've had a lot of pain on the way. There's never really been any good news, but today, after 8 years, we got some news, and that is that the coalition government does care about the families.
I didn't have to search for long to find people on the streets of Greymouth today who knew the families of the men. Coralie Cowie paid tribute to them for continuing to fight for this day, even when their cause seemed completely lost.
They have fought amazingly hard for this, and I think for some of them it's been too painful to be out there fighting, and I think that the ones that have stood out there for all of them have done an amazing job, and to finally have this outcome is I don't want to say relief, but it's put everything in place for them, and what they fought for has finally come to a head for them, which is really great.
Ali Elam says the pain of that day is still very fresh for people in this town.
Actually, we've never really fully recovered. So I just think it's a huge, huge victory for the families and the West Coast community itself, because we all knew somebody up there.
And so why do you think it is important to get in there and try and recover any bodies and work out why this actually happened?
Well, if one of my family members were in there, I'd be acting exactly the same.
Pat Kennedy hopes they uncover clues as to why the mine exploded and finally manage to hold somebody accountable for what happened.
To me, there was too much pressure on making money, getting the coal out in a hurry, all those shortcuts that were taken, the pressure from the management, and Peter Whittle should never have walked away from this.
However, Jane Wells says the men should be left to rest in peace.
One fellow I know really well, his family are happy for him to be where he is. They always said that right from the start. Yes. I can understand the others wanting to go in, but what are they going to find? It's going to be quite horrific if they do find something.
After the explosive methane is purged from the mine, a team will enter the entry tunnel, first as far as a seal 170 metres inside, and then beyond as far as an area of rockfall. They will be looking for clues as to what caused the explosion and be ready to recover any remains. Electrical equipment just before the rockfall will be examined to see if an electrical fault is to blame. Today, Bernie Monk, whose son died, expressed hope a team might be able to go beyond the rockfall to where it's thought the men are most likely to be. Tony Cockshawn says he's been told this is unlikely to happen.
That rockfall, and I've been over this with the Pike Agency, this rockfall is between 20 and 50 metres long, and it takes up the full portal. So you won't get past that rockfall. It's extremely dangerous, Pike Agency tell me, to even attempt to get past that.
The Pike River Recovery Agency has given itself until June 2020 to complete the exhaustive work of safely re-entering the mine and properly investigating what's gone on inside. In Greymouth for Checkpoint, ko Conan Young tēnei.